Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Monday night, the 28th of June, 2021. We've got a heat wave in the east. We've got a heat wave in the northwest. And the temperatures in Canada, I think, are even more impressive than some of the three-digit numbers that we're seeing in Washington and Oregon. More on that in a moment. The Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Wholesale Holiday Lighting by Giannini, if for only because of the fact that if we could think about things that we would normally do in November and December when we're decorating our homes for the holidays, it might make you feel just a little bit cooler. They're your complete holiday lighting specialists, meeting all your decorating needs, whether you want your home decorated or you might want to do this as a business or add it on to whatever business you have now. They're at 162 Ocean Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York on Long Island. 631-957-5106 is the telephone number, and the website is liholidaylighting.com. It's a good time of year to kind of prepare yourselves for things that are going to happen 6 months from now. And brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware, Long Island's largest provider of mulch and topsoil, and they've got all the supplies you need in case you have to freshen up your emergency supplies come when hurricane season gets into full gear here. They're at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. And the website there is omnitruevalue.com. And Joe, we have severe thunder shower Danny, which is now coming ashore on the South Carolina coast.
Don't get me started, Joe.
I had that was a quote. That was a quote that cranky weather guy, who was on Twitter, and I followed him. He was great. And anyway, he used that phrase in reference to a tropical storm. I think it was the C storm or the B or C storm a few years ago in the tropical Atlantic. That was basically about the size of a pea. The gales only went out like 15 miles, and they had it as a named tropical storm. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this too, Joe, and I've got the satellite loop and the radar, and I was looking at the observations. Okay, so there were some gusts to like 30 or 40 miles an hour along the coast that I saw, and I read the discussion. But yeah, the convection kind of blew up a bit just as it was making landfall. It's so small. I mean, it really is. It's so small as it continues to move very quickly to the west, northwest, and northwest. And by the way, their track takes it right over my house, so I may get I may get a few drops of rain out of this.
You know, Joe, either the National Hurricane Center should do one of two things. Either they should go back over all of their records that go all the way through through the 20th century, reanalyze all of the various systems that they took into consideration as tropical cyclones, and maybe even look at some that they didn't take into consideration and alter the record some, or just simply stop this nonsense. Stop the nonsense. I mean, we had Claudette last week, which didn't really amount. They waited until literally the storm was at the coast.
It was on land when they upgraded it. It was on land.
Right. They finally threw up their arms and said, all right, it's a tropical system. It's a tropical storm. And now with this thing, I agree completely with cranky weather guy. This is nothing more than a glorified, large-scale, severe thunderstorm, which they have decided to just simply categorize as the latest tropical system. We should only have at this moment in time, Joe, in my humble opinion, we should only have 2 named storms, but we have 4 because 2 of the 4 are absurdities like what we have out there today.
I think you could make a case that only Bill was a tropical storm because Anna was also it was a low cloud, it was basically a cloud swirl out there. There wasn't a whole lot of convection with it. So yeah, I would say, Claudette was this this very elongated low. It looked more like a trough than anything else. I'd say that maybe just one out of these four should have been named, and I also, I agree with you with the premise of what you said, and I guarantee you, if this were 30 years ago or 30 years ago or more, something like this probably would have just fell under their radar, and and nothing would have come of it. And certainly the other storms, maybe Claudette and Bill would have been talked about. But Anna, way out there back in May, no. This is, look, it's not my job. I don't know what they're, I don't know how, I don't want to. I don't want to criticize too strongly because they're sitting there in the hot seat. They're under the gun with these sorts of things. But this is a little bit much.
Well, do you remember? Was it last year or the year before when suddenly out of nowhere, people's phones all over Florida were lighting up because there was suddenly a tropical storm warning in effect for places where the day before there was like no signal whatsoever. Do you remember that? People were complaining.
Yeah, I seem to recall that. Yes.
I mean, like it really has gotten to the point now where we're really it's getting ridiculous. It really is. And if you wonder why, last year I'd have to say last year, quite a few storms last year in the record-breaking tropical cyclone year of 2020 that were named storms should not have been named storms. All right. Yeah. So I've gone ahead and I've said it. But I've also said that you and I are nothing more than really general practitioners. We're not hurricane or tropical cyclone
experts. We're not proctologists, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking at it. We're looking at things from a specific perspective, and maybe there's some reasons why all of a sudden these seemingly minute systems are suddenly being garnered tropical cyclones and tropical storms or whatever, but I simply don't understand it. And again, I don't agree with, I'm allowed to have an opinion here. I just simply don't agree, and I wish somebody would explain to me how, as Cranky Weather Guy said, how a glorified severe thunderstorm managed to acquire a name. But there you go. There's Danny, and come tomorrow, Danny may be nothing more than a big mass of clouds.
Right. Well, look at it on the radar. I mean, it's okay. I can kind of see where the echoes. They are turned. There is a close circulation. I'm not arguing that, but I mean, look, in terms of the convection that's on the radar, is this any different or any more threatening than, let's say, some of these severe thunderstorms that are going on in parts of the in the Midwest? I mean, I don't know.
I've seen derechos that have been far.
Yeah, exactly.
More robust than this thing. Well, anyway.
Well, it gets a name, and now another name is out of the way, and we're not even to July 1st yet. Of course, we're behind last year's pace, if I remember correctly. So, I suppose that's one way of looking at it. And that
Levi Cowan yesterday or Saturday was making reference to a system that he was thinking like, they're going to name this system. It was near Barbados, and he said, well, if it doesn't get one now, when he put out that statement, it's not going to, because it's going to run into a lot of shear and get ripped apart. And sure enough, that was the story. But who knows? Maybe some person at the National Hurricane Center, some overzealous forecaster would have said, no, we're going to give it a name before it dies. Anyway.
Oh, good Lord. The other thing, before we go on to the other thing, let me just acknowledge Steve LaPointe hitting Super Chat tonight. Thank you, Stephen. Always appreciative. And, it reminds everybody, if you haven't hit the like button, it would be nice if you did. The other story, and I saved the maps in case I can't get them tonight, so I got the high temperature map. These are for today. So the chairman informed me that Seattle got to 106. Yesterday they set an all-time record by going to 104. So today they took that out, and their high is 106. And Portland got to 114 for a high, and that is also an all-time record high for them. 115 at Hermiston Municipal Airport, and that's right near the Oregon-Washington state line, south of Kennewick. Kennewick is 112. But I tell you something, I did. Oh, here was what this 115 Rogue Valley International Airport, just right near Medford, Oregon. 115 was the high there. My God, that's really crazy. The slower.
I've been to Seattle. I've been to both Seattle and Portland in recent years, and I can't even imagine a 114. And here in New York, in the New York metropolitan area, our highest temperature within the confines of the five boroughs was July 3rd, 1966, when LaGuardia hit 107. Central Park hit 106 on July 9th, 1936, which was, by the way, the day before the Triborough Bridge opened.
Right.
And President Roosevelt went across. He went across the part of the bridge, the vertical lift part of the bridge that goes over the East River, in an open sedan, because I guess they didn't have air conditioning back in 1936 for cars. And I'm sure the temperature probably was somewhere around 100 on opening day for the bridge. I could just imagine what it was like there. And these are the hottest temperatures we've seen. And here we have Seattle and Portland beating these temperatures by anywhere from 2 to 7 degrees. Unbelievable. Incredible.
I think it.
And I read 1 out of every 3 homes, Joe, only 1 out of every 3 homes in Seattle has an air conditioner. 2 out of 3, no air conditioning. How the heck do you stay comfortable? How do you actually stay sane when it hits like 105, 110 degrees and you have no access to any air conditioning? I suppose you go see a movie, or maybe you spend time. There was a Married with Children episode many, many years ago where the whole family they bring their beach chairs and they set them up in a supermarket by the meat section.
Look at these, talk about insane numbers. It's even more so. By the way, the dew point, it's 102 in Seattle right now. And the dew point there is 72 because they have a west-northwest wind coming in off the water. But Portland, I was looking at Portland, their dew point's down in the low 50s, so it's a little more reasonable. But look at these numbers in Canada, in southwest Canada. A place called Kamloops Airport, 111. Okay, 111. Williams Lake in British Columbia. Now we're talking, we're inland here, and we're moving north. We're at 52.2 north and 122 west, 3,084 feet above sea level, 100 for a high there. And I went up yesterday. I pulled up these high temperatures in and around Great Slave Lake. They were in the low 90s.
That's crazy.
Beaver Lodge, Canada, 99. This is at 55 north, 55.2 north, 119.4 west. 99. They're 2,400 feet above sea level. These are just numbers going up in through northwest Canada.
Not too far from those places that you mentioned, there's a place called Snag, SNAG, which I believe still has the all-time low temperature record for North America, something like 82 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. And you have to expect that maybe Snag today was probably something like 160, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, not like 160 or 180 degrees warmer today than it was on that day when it broke the all-time low temperature record. This is absolutely crazy. By the way, you mentioned Seattle 102 at a dew point of 72. The heat index, the corresponding heat index, 113 in Seattle.
Oh. Now here's this is Fort Simpson, which is west of Great Slave Lake. So now we're pushing up at almost to 62 degrees north latitude. They were 93 yesterday, 93. A little better today, the 86 with a dew point of 52. And yesterday I took this map all the way up to the north, right up to the Arctic coast, and the they were except right along the immediate coast, they were in the 70s just inland. Here's one, Keats Point, Canada, Joe, 69.7 north, 121.7 west, 1,083 feet above sea level, 70 degrees. They're almost right on the edge of the shore there of the Amundsen Gulf, Amunddsen. Here's I'm going to go a little bit further to the west toward Alaska. I mean, these numbers are just crazy on the North Slope here. Here's one right literally on the coast, okay? Pelly Island, it's an automatic weather station. Pelly Island, 63 the high there. 59 is the current temperature with a north-northeast wind. So get a bit of a sea breeze. Inuvik, I lost it there. Oh, Inuvik, which is inland. They're at, I mean, we're up almost at 70 north where I'm pulling some of these numbers here. 79, the temperature there. 41 dew point. This is at 68.3 north, 133.5 west. And on the north slope of Alaska, right along the coast, temperatures are mostly in the 50s to around 60s. I mean, I know it does get, you get a handful of days in the summertime where it does warm up. And I can remember last year there was a heat wave in Alaska. I think if I remember correctly, there was one stretch of very hot weather in Alaska that brought 70s up almost right up to the North Slope. So this isn't too shabby. And there's one spot here, Wiley Post, Joe, Will Rogers Memorial Airport is 34 right now. So there's one spot in Alaska where the temperatures at least didn't seem to get out of hand. Their high was only 39.
Actually, Alaska, according to the Climate Prediction Center, Alaska for the 6 to 10 and 8 to 14 day outlook statewide will be below normal temperatures, or probabilities of below normal temperatures there. So that at least is a good sign, I guess, for them that they're actually going to be below normal. But meantime, for the rest of the country, I mean, we're looking at, the Intermountain region all the way down to the desert Southwest and east into the western Great Lakes, above normal through most of the northeastern United States. And that looks like it's going to hold that forecast right on through the next 1 to 2 weeks. Meantime, Joe, your part of the world, the southeastern United States and the Southland, which includes Texas, I might add, as well as Louisiana, below normal probabilities for temperature for the next week or two. But that's only because you're going to be rather wet these next 6 to 14 days.
So all the ridges
that's what's going to keep the temperature down.
The ridges are all displaced pretty far north, so I'm underneath them. I'm to the south of them rather than. It's when you get, if you're sitting underneath the ridge of the upper high is when you get the hottest temperatures. Well, they're all north of me, so I'm not getting subsidence. I'm not getting a sinking wind or anything like that. So yeah, I'm relatively speaking, I'm cooler than you. I still haven't gotten to 90, and I think we only got to about 83 here today. So works for me. And of course, Keith James II pointing out in Chicago that it's been raining virtually nonstop. And when you think about it, it makes sense because you've got hot, humid air in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. You've got very hot air in the west. So if you got a ridge on one side, a ridge on the other, you're going to have a trough in the middle. And that's kind of what we have, or at least a weakness in the middle. And this is where we're seeing these showers and storms running across from Michigan back through Wisconsin. It's not solid coverage. Hold on a second, Joe. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, hang on one second.
Hello.
No, something weird just happened to the chat board. Hold on. I just lost the chat board did something really strange. I'm just going to refresh it. I'm not sure what happened. I don't think it was from my end. I'm thinking something happened on YouTube's end. What the hell happened here? Hold on a second.
I don't know.
Connected to the show. I don't even know if they're still seeing this or not. It's like the whole YouTube page that I use when I set up these live streams, I can't see it. Let's see what's going on.
I'll put something on the chat board here.
Hang on.
Is
Can you
anybody
see?
seeing
Yeah,
us?
can you see? Can you ask? Because I'm getting like really weird. It's like a whole nother show pulled up here that I didn't even set up. Oh, this is just really strange. I don't know what happened here.
Well, I see Johnny Quest just pointed out that Mount Hood in Oregon has temperatures in the 70s at 11,000 feet. Latex Streams hear you. David Scott says
Okay.
yes.
I don't know what happened. I can't see the chat board. I'm trying to refresh it. I just want to make sure that the show is running. Okay, now it's come back. I don't know what happened. That was really weird. That was something I didn't do. It's okay. Anyway, let me just get back to the point I was making. Is the fact that with the two strong ridges on both coasts, you've got this weakness in the middle, and of course that's where the moisture is. And look at this; it goes all the way down from West Texas into New Mexico, running northeast on up through the southern plains, the middle and upper Mississippi Valley, and into the Great Lakes. Some of those showers and storms are actually coming over the top across upstate New York and northern New England, but that's where all the wet weather is still to our west. We've got some wet weather going on in parts of Florida. You can forget the west. There's not much of anything going on there. Of course, you see that little blob there is what represents Danny. We've got some scattered storms in the central Appalachians from eastern Tennessee, northeastward up into West Virginia, and also some tropical moisture in the Gulf of Mexico that's shooting up some showers and downpours into Texas. The Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk up in Maine tonight, a small area of marginal risk in coastal South Carolina for obvious reasons, and a narrow area of marginal risk from central Illinois to southern Michigan. Well, it looks like it includes Chicago. The risk areas the next couple of days are all marginal risk areas. We don't have anything on the order of slight risk, but here's marginal risk tomorrow. Wisconsin, Michigan, northern Indiana, northeastern Illinois, northwestern Ohio, and then, Joe, on Wednesday, at least they had it earlier. Yep, they still have it. Marginal risk of severe weather from southern New Jersey along the Pennsylvania-Maryland state line back to Ohio, and then covering all of New York and New England. So that's with the beginning of whatever's going to happen here at the end of the week. So we do have a marginal risk of severe weather for later Wednesday and into Wednesday night.
Well, the marginal area that we're in on Wednesday could very well imply that some of the rain that we see here could be locally heavy. I mean, we could be looking at some heavy downpours or drownpours here with so much moisture in the air for the thunder. Now, the thing is, and as we progress now through the remainder of our show here tonight, I think the big, quandary, Joe, is which model do we believe? Because as we were talking about yesterday morning on Joe and Joe on Sunday, if you really are hoping for some nice weather in time for the 4th of July holiday on Sunday, then put all your bets down on the European, which is swinging a rather sharp trough through the northeastern United States and indicating that the flow is going to be coming out of the north and northwest, much lower humidity, lovely, lovely conditions. But then you look at the GFS, and they have that closed low system hundreds of miles away off to the west, and we remain in a southerly airflow. You look at the Canadian, and the Canadian is kind of split down the middle between the GFS and the European. So I frankly don't know, as of right now, what to believe, who to believe, and what to go for as far as the weather is concerned for the holiday on Sunday.
Well, I know you're not a big fan of the off-hour model runs, but the 18Z or GFS looks very much like the European does today. Did today. So the GFS, at least on this last run, has kind of moved over to the idea of, instead of having some wrapped up ridiculous cutoff sitting near Chicago for a couple of days and putting us in a southerly flow of endless moisture, it looks like the European. It doesn't drop it in that. It doesn't drop a cutoff there. Has a sharp trough that kind of swings through the east, and would allow for the fact that if you're going to be of the 3 weekend days, you just probably would maybe have a problem with Saturday, and then it would get better for Sunday and Monday.
Right.
And the humidity
model.
would go away too, because that's a pretty sharp
Right.
trough and a decent shot of dry air coming down out of Canada. So it's being supportive. I was trying to see if these rainfall, to look at some of the rainfall amounts here in the for today. I'm trying to see I can't see what the map doesn't have a time element on it. Okay, this is through 7 a.m. this morning. As far as the rainfall that's been going on in parts of Indiana and Illinois, some areas getting 3 or 4 inches, but it's been raining there for days. So I think if we pull up the last 7 days, that would work. And the map is loading now, so you can see the rainfall here in the last 7 days from Michigan across northwest Indiana back through Chicago. They picked up 6 inches or more of rain in some places across central Missouri. A few spots there in the purple. That's 10 to 15 inches of rain. And then that heavy rain extends down through Oklahoma and parts of western Texas. So no drought there for sure. And here in the east, really haven't had too much. Most of the rainfall amounts over the last 7 days have been generally about anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to maybe some places getting as much as 1/2 an inch to an inch. But the rains going on in between the two ridges of high pressure in the last 3 or 4 days have been substantial. Also along the immediate Gulf Coast from Louisiana across the Florida Panhandle and down into northern and central Florida, some areas getting 5 to 6 inches of rain or more. So there is wet weather east of the Rockies. There's nothing in terms of wet weather west of the Rockies.
Well, we're just going to have to, I guess, get a little bit closer to the weekend so that we'll be able to make a judgment call on this. And yeah, but until that front does make it into our area, out ahead of it. I mean, there's so much moisture. I mean, the air is juicy, if you will. And as we get closer in, especially Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there will be a good bet of some localized heavy-duty rainfall amounts.
Yeah.
You could quite possibly see, and and always, not always, but it seems like every summer there's always an event where some place gets something crazy like 8 or 10 inches of rain or whatever, and that has happened a couple of times here in the immediate tri-state area. And if you want to really set the stage for something like that to happen, to juice up the atmosphere, so to speak, what we're looking at for the middle and latter part of this week certainly looks like that is a possibility for some unfortunate locality.
Yes. WPC's rainfall, 7-day rainfall here. So this covers what's going to happen at the end of the week and into the weekend. Generally about anywhere from 1.5 inches to pockets of 2 to 3 inches in some places from eastern North Carolina all the way up into central New England. And you also west back into the Ohio Valley, down the Appalachians into North Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi along the Gulf Coast. And then some other heavy rains back in the southern plains over into New Mexico. Nothing in the northern plains. Nothing going on along the immediate west coast. A little bit of shower activity further inland in Nevada, Utah, northern Arizona, western Wyoming. Not a lot, but it's something, and they're bone dry there. So I've got the two models up here that we can take a look at. And Joe, here's the new GFS, by the way. Here's the new upper air on the GFS. And while, it does try to drop a cutoff here, it's nowhere near as vigorous as what the models were showing back yesterday and last night, and even on the 12Z run. Now, all of a sudden, this kind of matches a bit better with the European. There is an upper low on the GFS come Sunday morning sitting in Ohio that opens up and then moves east and offshore during the day on Monday. Now, this would probably... it's slower than the European, so this would probably say that we'll still have some issues to deal with on Sunday, and then maybe on Monday we could see some improvement once as long as the trough keeps moving along. But the European is you look at the European, to me, Joe, it kind of makes more sense. It drops this short wave, we've got this short wave that's dropping into the lakes on Thursday, starts to drop down into Ohio on Friday, but it moves along so that by Saturday morning, the upper low, there's a closed upper low somewhere between Binghamton and Syracuse. And of course, you can see here the northerly flow coming down through the eastern lakes into the southeastern part of the United States, which is great for me. I mean, this is going to be lovely dew points here if that's correct. And then by Sunday, the upper low, Joe, the upper low is sitting somewhere in northern Maine, and you've got northwest winds in the upper atmosphere. I mean, the westerlies go all the way down into South Carolina. I mean, this on the European says that, okay, Saturday might be a problem, but Sunday and Monday should be fine.
I'm wondering also if that European upper air verifies, I mean, whether or not we might be dealing with some kind of a significant severe outbreak on the day before Independence Day on Saturday.
I think
on Saturday.
I think that's a possibility. If the frontal boundary sets up west of the coast, I think that there's a shot that you could probably see. There could be some severe weather with this if this verifies. No argument there.
We'll see.
No argument there.
Yeah.
But I'm looking. Look, I want this to be right Saturday morning, because if this is right, I am going to be sitting in dew points down in the upper 40s and low 50s. I talked to a few folks here. They said this spring has been unusual. Especially this month of June has been unusually cool, even here. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled.
Places that normally would be sweltering or normally would have oppressively high levels of humidity and very, very uncomfortable conditions, like Georgia, for example.
Yes.
Enjoying a spate of dry and relatively pleasant weather for the normally hazy, humid month of June. And meanwhile, places that don't normally see much in the way of heat are just burning up. In fact, the chairman on the chat board, Joe, writing that along with a super chat hit, thank you very much, Scott, Lytton, I think that's how you pronounce it, Lytton, Canada, near British Columbia, set Canada's all-time high yesterday of 116 degrees. May break it today. Hi to all. Mom Briller says thanks for the blessings, and we certainly wish Mom a quick and speedy recovery from her latest medical issue.
Absolutely. There's a skating tournament we've got to enter. She wants to enter, so she's going to get better, and she's going to get better. All right, so here's the European upper air for North America, and just want to point out once again, you're seeing, at least if the European is correct, the amplitude here. Remember, we had this happen twice in the month of June, and you know how I always like to say the trend is your friend, and patterns tend to repeat until they don't. And in this case, if this is right, this will be a repeat performance of the prior two instances that brought down really solid shots of dry air. This might only last a day or two, but it's pretty decent. And then that pulls out, and another trough on the European is already getting ready to move into the western lakes later next week. The ridge is still out there in the Rockies up into southwest Canada, but not nearly as strong. The upper high is centered much further south down in Arizona and Utah, so this would suggest that the heat will come back to, central and southern California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, come later next week. If the European is correct, we'll take a quick look at the GFS to see what planet it's on. And the GFS has a bit more of a flatter look to it. It's not that different, but it has a flatter look to it. It still has, it doesn't have the amplitude in the same way the European does. Much slower trough, still trying to make this cutoff, but it's not nearly as vigorous. In southern Ohio and Kentucky, it takes longer. It takes longer than the European does to get it through here. So that would suggest that maybe you'll have to wait till Monday at the earliest to see improvement. But the European, again, as Joe pointed out, as I've pointed out, has a much a better scenario pointing out for Sunday and Monday. And then after that lifts out, you still got gentle troughing in the east and kind of a flat ridge there in the plains. Westerly flow across southern Canada, still troughing in the east, going into the long range as we now move into the middle of July, kind of a trough hanging there, and then another one that follows right behind it. And by the way, even though we keep seeing, we are seeing these troughs in the east, you probably have noticed that has not prevented it from getting hot here. So you still can get stretches like the one we're in now, where we're seeing highs in the low to mid 90s for tomorrow and for Wednesday, and we had highs up in the lower 90s today in many locations, low and middle 90s. So just because you have the trough in the east in general doesn't mean that it's not going to go to 90 degrees or higher at any point. Yeah, it does. It actually will do it sometimes under the correct setup, and that's what we got here. High pressure offshore. First upper trough and front approach on Wednesday with some thunderstorms, and then a better chance on Thursday. And you can see with the frontal boundary kind of lying right along from about Boston to just north of New York City to just north and west of Philadelphia to West Virginia, hanging with more showers and storms on Thursday, and then again on Friday. And you catch a break. And then, see, after that, after Saturday, most of the showers kind of sink to the south and east. You get a little bit of development out to the west on Sunday, but it's only scattered stuff. So, I don't know. Let's give the GFS another day or so to kind of catch up to the European. Hope the European is correct.
David Schwartz just points out the latest advisory on Danny, Advisory 2A. Danny has made landfall just north of Hilton Head on Pritchard's Island, South Carolina.
They followed that thunderstorm along.
Yes, indeed.
Here is, by the way, just for laughs, here we go. Their forecast track on the Hurricane Center is, they weaken it to a depression. It passes south of me. It looks like it probably, they have it, the low passing between where I am in northeast Georgia and Atlanta. So it goes there somewhere in between. I'll get a little bit of rain out of this. This is actually probably, if this is correct, I might see that rain here sometime tomorrow morning. So that'll be interesting. And as far as the other system out in the Atlantic is concerned, I know they upped it to a development possibility of up to 40%, which is where they left it there on this advisory, marking the X somewhere around 10 degrees north and about 45 degrees west, moving west-northwest into toward the Leeward Islands in the longer term, and eventually over Hispaniola and maybe into the Bahamas in terms of where they think the clouds with this system is going to track to. I'm not going to get involved on whether the models are doing anything with it or not. Going back to last week, if you remember, folks, some of the long-range GFS models had making hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico, and clearly that's not happening. So that kind of speaks to the reliability of using the GFS or even the European in terms of putting hurricanes out beyond the 5-day time frame. It's kind of a waste of time and a fruitless exercise to even look at it. So let's do a little Briller Jeopardy, shall we?
Ken Musillo, by the way, points out that we're up to D now on the list. In 1960, D did not come until September, and that was Hurricane Donna, which was a memorable hurricane here in the east. But it just goes to show you that, way back when, we didn't get around to christening the D storm until about the midpoint of the hurricane season, and here we are. We're already up to D, and we're not even out of the month of June yet.
And by the way,
so yes, it's
by the way, Anthony Orr messaged me and let me know that Tropical Storm Danny is the earliest what would be a named storm to make landfall in coastal South Carolina since 1867. 154 years in between tropical systems making landfall on the coast of of South Carolina in the month of June.
Well, of course, I mean, they didn't have any names for them back then, but
It was
they
called
did.
it was
They
called
were able to
Hurricane
expose.
One.
Yes. Yeah. Ah. Well, here again now is another one of Mr. Chiaffi's favorite Thriller Jeopardy categories, and this is for movie debut special edition. All 10 movies won Best Picture, and get within 3 for credit. Get 8 out of 10, and you can pick a prize behind door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3.
Okay.
So we have the first one here, and that was Casablanca. What year was Casablanca?
I'll say
Sweetheart.
41.
And off by just one, Joe. It's 1942.
Okay.
Number 2 is The Apartment.
1960.
Right on the nose. Ta-da!
Billy Wilder's Shirley MacLaine, Fred MacMurray, and Jack Lemmon. I'm sorry, I was drawing a blank there. Jack Lemmon, great movie, by the way. Fred MacMurray playing another louse. Oh no! Have you ever seen The Apartment?
I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
a
had
great
chance to see
great
the whole
movie, but he's a real louse in that movie. Anyway, go on.
That was the year before I think he did Flubber. Remember that?
Yes.
Fred MacMurray was a very busy guy back then. He was doing movies like The Apartment, Flubber, Son of Flubber, My Three Sons.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably one of the busiest actors in Hollywood.
And
about
getting
that
rich
time.
from a uranium mine.
Right. Which they actually did a Lucy Desi comedy hour
Yes,
about, right?
exactly. Yeah.
That was the theme about.
Yeah,
that.
he made millions from
Number
a uranium
3,
mine.
And number 3, and if you watch the movie Quiz Show, you would know what year this is. Number 3, Marty.
Marty? Was Marty 55?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, 55.
And you're right, right on the nose, 1955. And if you remember the movie Quiz Show, that was the question that was asked. Oh, darn it! I forget who it was. He was on for several consecutive shows. He was knocked out by Van Doren, but he was already told that he had to get the answer wrong. He actually knew the answer, but he was told take a dive. And in 1955. The question was, what was the Oscar-winning movie, Best Picture in 1955? And I think he said On the Waterfront, and he knew it was Marty.
Yeah.
Anyway, number 4 is An American in Paris.
You know what? That's like one of those movies. There was a time. There was a time during the 50s where they. If it was a musical, it became a Best Picture, and then you look at it and it's like, really? I'm going to say 1952.
You are off by just one, believe it or not. 1951.
Okay.
You're pretty good at these things, Joe.
Yeah, that's
1951.
I spend a lot of time watching old movies.
I can see that. I guess you binge watch Alfred Hitchcock all through the whole weekend.
I didn't binge watch through the whole thing, but I've seen every one of the ones that they had on at least at minimum 4 or 5 times.
I believe it. Number 5 on the chairman's list is Oliver.
Oliver, 1960. 7.
Off by just one, 1968. And I seem to remember that my grandparents took my sister and I to see that movie at the Interborough in Throgs Neck, right on East Tremont Avenue.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Right after, yeah. Number 6 is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
1974.
Again, just off by one. It was
75?
1975. 75. This next one, number 7, had as one of the stars Brillo the Pink Pad, Broderick Crawford.
All the King's Men, 1950.
Yes. Off again by one, 1949.
Right. With Mercedes McCambridge, who by the way did a movie with Joan Crawford called Johnny Guitar. Okay. And it was a Western, and the plot centers around the two domineering female characters. One played by Joan Crawford, the other one Mercedes McCambridge. It is hilarious. It's one of these movies that's so bad it's good. Okay. And it you know, there's a huge there's a huge following because the movie is so campy. But anyway, if you ever see it on Turner Classic, it's worth the watch because you'll just watch it and you'll just laugh. You'll just laugh all the way through it. Anyway, go on. What's the next one?
Number 8 is Mutiny on the Bounty.
Which one?
I don't know. He just has number 8, Mutiny on the Bounty.
Okay, because there's Mutiny on the Bounty with Charles Lawton and Clark Gable and Francois Tome, and I would say that was probably 1934 or 35.
That's the one I guess he was thinking of. Yeah.
Okay, because then
1935 he was here.
Right, because then there was a god awful remake with Marlon Brando and a few others. But that one I would have had to take a wild guess at. I've seen the movie, but I don't remember the year of it. I would have said probably like late 1950s sometime. But okay, so he was going for the 1935 one.
Well, he's going for the ones again. The category here is all these movies won for Best Picture.
Oh, for Best Picture. Okay, so then all right. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. So yeah, then it definitely would have been the 1935 movie. Okay, go on.
Okay. Number 9 is In the Heat of the Night.
In the Heat of the Night, I'm going to say that was so Oliver was 1968. So I'm going to say In the Heat of the Night was either 67 or 69. So I'll say 67.
And you were right on the nose, 1967. And the last one, and you did very well. You have not missed one, and I don't expect you're going to miss this one. You Can't Take It With You.
Oh, I love that movie. Lionel Barrymore. That movie is actually, that's Frank Capra. That's Frank Capra who directed It's a Wonderful Life. And I think this movie is actually better. I mean, It's a Wonderful Life is a good movie. It's not a perfect movie. There are some flaws in it. But it's a good movie. And obviously it's become a Christmas classic. But You Can't Take It With You is a great movie. And Lionel Barrymore is terrific in this. I'm going to say 1937.
Missed by one, Joe. 1938.
Okay.
It was a critical and commercial success.
It's great.
Two Academy Awards, by the way.
Yeah, it's a hilarious. It's a hilarious movie. Jimmy Stewart is in that movie, by the way. It was one of his earlier roles.
I guess they built on that to make It's a Wonderful Life. They said, all right, let's get Jimmy, let's get Lionel, and pick a few other people, and we'll make another great movie.
Yeah.
So now here's your choice. Do you want door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3?
Hold on, I gotta find. Where's Carol? I'm trying to find Carol here. Is that her? Hold on a second. Nope, that's Mrs. Bundy.
There's a booby prize if I ever thought of that.
Yep, there's Carol Merrill. I'm going to say, I rarely pick door number 3, so I'll pick door number 3.
All right, well, if you had chosen door number 1, you would have won a bottle of wine every week for the next 10 years.
Well, that's nice. I wouldn't be able to drink it all. I don't go through a bottle a week.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the Carol Merrill picture, um, admiring the Carol Merrill picture. Door number 2, had you chosen door number 2 tonight, would have been a special TV where the only channel you could watch would be the Weather Channel.
I chucked that off my roof.
And door number 3, the one that you chose, Joe, in the spirit of Monty's cookie jar, you would have received in door number 3 1,000 pennies.
Oh, that's pretty. That's useful at least.
That is how much is that?
$10.
$10. That's right.
That's at least useful.
And there you go.
I could put in a few gallons of gas in the truck. So
correct.
Anyhow.
So there you go.
All right. You know what? I'm exhausted. I'm utterly exhausted. I don't know why I woke up at 4 this morning. I was wide awake. So I am going to bed early tonight. So I suggest you do the same. You and I will be back tomorrow night and Wednesday night.
Will.
And then I think we're going to... I'm thinking, well, I guess we still have to play it by ear.
Because people may... You know what, Joe? People may be relying on us as the only 2 reliable forecasters to give a 100% accurate forecast for the upcoming Independence
But I don't
Day
know
weekend.
what model to choose.
But maybe by Wednesday we'll have the answer for everyone. Maybe.
Scott asks if if Alfred Hitchcock ever made a sequel to one of the movies. No, I mean the only thing he did do was that he did remake The Man Who Knew Too Much, which was originally done in the 30s and starred Peter Lorre, by the way, in that movie, and then redid it with Jimmy Stewart and Doris Day in I think 1953 or 54. But that's other than that, no, he's never done. He's never done a sequel to a movie that I looked up at everything that he's done, and I've seen no sequel. So that's it.
That's it. I guess we don't have much more to add, except to say see you tomorrow night at 7:30ish.
Yes, 7:30 tomorrow night, folks. So be here or don't be here.
Be square.
No, yeah, it would be there or be square.
Yes.
Be here and be dear. How's that? Okay.
And we did not have Mr. Fairchild tonight, so
no, I'm very concerned, Joe. I'm very concerned that he's not here. We have to put in our day off requests, and if we can't find him, this is gonna be a real problem. Is Alexandria Downey, is Rear Window any good? Oh God. Look, Rear Window is genius. I'm just going to tell you, I have these conversations like this before we say goodbye. So I have these conversations. There's a whole generation of youngins who the idea of watching a movie that was done, prior to, yesterday, is against their religion. That also applies if a movie is in black and white. Now, this Rear Window's in color. It is if you're a Hitchcock fan and you haven't seen Rear Window, I mean that's among his best. I mean, if you want to put Psycho, Rear Window. I mean, if I had to make my list, it would be Psycho, Rear Window, North by Northwest, and Shadow of a Doubt, Notorious. I mean, those are all, and Rebecca. I mean, those are, those movies are just they're just terrific. Rear Window, Vertigo. Vertigo. Now, I mean, Joe, I've actually, it took me, I had to see the movie 6 times before I understood it, and then I had to see it another 6 times to really appreciate. Now that I've literally seen Vertigo about a dozen times, And I have to say that it is a great movie. It is a great movie. But a lot of people are, when they see it for the first time, they're like, you know, they come away with not good feelings about it. It's a movie that's got so much going on at so many levels. You really need to watch it at least 3 or 4 times just to understand what's going on. And then you start to, then you really, you know, you kind of get into seeing what Hitchcock was really trying to do with this movie, which is, you know, truly mind-boggling. So my answer to your question for Rear Window is yes. You should. Okay, so Alexandria, she says she's only 30, but you love watching classics. Great. One of the things about movies that when you watch movies, in the older movies, is the fact that since they had censors, especially when it came to love scenes, you know, they obviously they didn't do sex scenes like you see in movies from today and over the last 30 years or so. So they actually had to write the sex in the dialogue, and it's in your mind. So when you listen to the dialogue that's going on between the characters, you get your mind takes you where it needs to go. And believe me when I tell you, it's far better. It's a far better experience to have it in your mind than to actually see it on the screen. I'm just putting.
Could you just quickly? I know we're supposed to come to the end of this, but if you can quickly just allow me to screen share one image here.
Yeah, hold on. I always forget to. I don't always remember to give you that privilege. Keith James says, "Am I into westerns?" I'm not. You know what? I'm not really. I've watched a few. I've watched a couple of John Wayne movies and a few others. The Oxbow incident. Oh my God, she's Grace Kelly.
By the way, if that doesn't get you to get out of a wheelchair,
no,
nothing will.
Alexandria, Rear Window. If for nothing else, just to see how incredibly beautiful Grace Kelly was, and she was in her 20s here. I mean, she was an absolutely gorgeous woman. One of the things I come away with from Rear Window and from To Catch a Thief, which is also with Grace Kelly, also Hitchcock with Cary Grant, is just how stunning Grace Kelly. I really believe that she was probably one of the most beautiful women ever to grace the Hollywood screen.
You remember that line in The Honeymooners? I think Norton, played by Art Carney, was listing famous chefs of the world, and he listed a few of them. And then at the end, he said, Grace Kelly's father. And Ralph says, Grace Kelly's father? How does he land on the list?
He cooked up a great dish.
Really good dish.
Yeah. Oh, God. And by the way, the genius in the movie, the actress that steals that movie is Thelma Ritter. Joe and I have talked about.
Thelma Ritter. You mentioned that yesterday. Yes.
Thelma Ritter is unbelievable. She's so brilliant. Okay, enough. And Happened on Fifth. Dennis Cassia. Yes, I have seen It Happened on Fifth Avenue. Very good movie. Not Sixth Avenue, Fifth Avenue. You're one block off.
He corrected himself.
Yeah.
He corrected himself.
If it happened on the Avenue of the Americas. No, it happened on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
All right. One night when there's no weather going on, we should probably
do a movie.
We'll do a movie.
Movie night.
Yeah, we'll do a movie night. All right. Now we'll see you tomorrow. So everybody have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7:30. Good night, everybody.
Good night.